Wondering if New York has a main line like Philly, like that you can take a train. So it goes...
Is it Hudson River Valley?
I would say that yes, it is. Okay. It is south of... There's a town called Catskill. There's a town... Okay. None of these are very familiar to me, but it is just east of the Hudson River.
So historically, the Newport was the top place in the last quarter of the 19th century. Correct. To have a vacation home. But then around the same time, you had the Hudson River Valley becoming very popular because it was very lush and beautiful. Right. And so you would get families who would build houses there. I think Jay Gould built a house there. It's one of the ones that's owned by the National Trust, I believe.
Oh.
And it's kind of Gothic revival style house.
Lyndhurst is Jay Gould's.
That's right. Yeah, Lyndhurst.
Yep.
Which was for many, many years.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Gothic. It's in Tarrytown.
Okay.
I for sure learned about this. Yeah. Gothic revival country house.
And then towards the turn of the century, the Long Island became popular to have vacation homes there. And I think that was mostly because it was a shorter commuting distance to New York. And so you have that all the way until, the 1920s, people building palatial estates there. It was nicknamed the Gold Coast because of that.
Oh.
Of course, that's where The Great Gatsby is set. So I've seen several different houses that claim that they were the model for Jay Gatsby's house. I don't really think anybody knows, but only thing we do know is that F. Scott Fitzgerald stayed there for a while. So he definitely had a passing acquaintance with that. So anyway, those are the three kind of primary areas. I won't even get into the mountain
Adirondacks.
Okay. Yeah, the camps where they decided, hey, we want to go be rustic for the weekend, and so they built these camps or whatever. And of course, even same principle of cottage, not really a camp. It was somewhat rustic, but definitely had all the modern conveniences attached to them. And then, of course, you also have Hyde Park area where the Roosevelts were camped out. So lots of different places in New York to vacation.
I've always wanted to take a tour of the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
So there is
just added to our list of places that we need to go as soon as you can fit me in on your travel schedule. So the Astors definitely had some nice real estate in their portfolio. Now, William Jr. was a pretty lazy individual. He had inherited enough money from his father in 1875 to set himself up for life, so he really didn't do much with it. He, as a second son, was given very little to do in the family's companies. So he just chilled on his yacht, which was called the Ambassadress.
Why?
Yeah, I have no clue. I'm assuming Ambassadress. I wonder if that's what they call Nikki Haley. She's an ambassador to the UN.
Yeah.
So is she technically the ambassadress?
I don't know if you identify male and female. I mean, I think you just, no matter
what. Well, no, you always
ambassador.
they always say Nikki Haley, ambassador to the UN.
But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. That's probably because everybody would have to do exactly as I did and had to sound it out before they pronounced it. Ambassadress. Yes. Okay. So he pretty much spent his time on his yacht, which was the largest private yacht in the world.
In the world?
In the world. And he was generally accompanied by several women who were not his wife.
Bigger than royalty yachts?
Because it probably would assume that these people have more money than royalty. He also occupied his time by breeding and racing horses. And one of his horses won the Kentucky Derby. So I guess he was pretty good at that.
Did it win the Triple Crown, though?
I don't think so. So he also was a fan of Jacksonville, Florida. He would ride on his yacht down there and hang out.
What was going on in Jacksonville?
I know.
At that
apparently
time?
Everybody wanted to go to Jacksonville.
Okay.
So he was actually
I mean, nothing against Jacksonville.
I know, right?
But I don't know what kind of place it was then.
Right. He was one of the co-founders of the Florida Yacht Club, which I thought I saw was one of the oldest yacht clubs in the nation. But that doesn't sound right to me. I would think that they would have had yacht clubs up
Northeast,
New York,
sure, Newport, well, Annapolis, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he loved Florida so much, he eventually purchased 80,000 acres of land just north of Orlando and began developing resort towns there with a couple hotels. And of course, he was aided in this by Henry Flagler.
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm obsessed with Florida.
Okay, yes, you are.
So Astor developed land?
Yeah, William Backhouse Astor Jr.
Oh, the back, okay.
Yeah. So JJ's father.
And this is when?
1980s.
So this is for sure around like Henry Plant, Henry Flagler era of the railroads.
Helped him out when Henry came into town and started building the railroads.
When was our favorite hotel in St. Augustine? The Flagler Hotel. I know, right?
E27?
I thought it was around then, or early 1890s. So, but this would have been like encouraging people to come to Florida and trying to make inroads. But I think of it as the coast, really, as the draw, not the innards of Florida.
No.
I mean, it's pretty. There's lots of springs, but I feel like the railroads were more at the coast. I know they were kind of everywhere, but also for transport of goods, not necessarily people.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, though. There is a town that's lovely. It's right on a little lake called Sanford, Florida, and that's north of Orlando. And then there's Winter Park. There's a lot of cool historic towns that would have been around, I guess, the turn of the 20th century.
The town that he founded was called Manhattan.
Oh.
And then it was later changed to Astor in his honor. So I don't know if that still exists. I should have looked that up.
Okay, so the Florida Yacht Club was organized in 1876 for the purpose of promoting yachting and social enjoyment. At the time, Jacksonville was the East Coast's southernmost center of winter social activities and recreation. The first meeting of the club's members was held on April 28, 1877, and William B. Astor Jr. was elected Commodore, while a lifetime membership fee of $35 was established.
That's a steal.
Oh, I like this. The first clubhouse was located at the foot of Market Street in downtown Jacksonville and was elegantly designed as a Swiss chalet.
That's strange.
It burned, and I do remember that this happened. The original club burned in the Great Fire of 1901. Reopened 1907. They expanded. I wonder what building they're in today. 5210 Yacht Club Road. Anybody in Jacksonville, please tell us if you know anything. This is history and tradition tab of the FloridaYachtClub.org website. So thank you. They have some lovely pictures of
the original building,
bathing beauties and boats in the St. Johns River and just cool Florida memorabilia. Oh, well, I like that. So now I'm curious. Anyway, the Florida Yacht Club. There you go.
Yep.
Oh, what was the other town? I'm sorry, I can look that up while you're continuing.
Oh, I looked it up. It was
Astor, Florida?
Yeah, it is still there. It's an unincorporated area.
Oh, that's
on the west side of the St. Johns River.
Oh.
So sounds like it never really took off.
It looks like that, yeah. Now I like this because I love to find out about little towns. So if you Google Astor, Florida, there's the map, whatever, with the geographical area. And then on the left, there'll be a picture of the town.
Right.
And there's a hilarious photograph of half of the picture is a parking lot. And the top half is the sky. And then there's this really bizarre, maybe 60s type motor lodge called the Blackwater Inn, which has a shield on it. But it's a very charming picture. And the shield is divided into quadrants. And it looks like there are two glasses toasting each other. There is a fish. There is a crossed knife and fork. And there is a ribeye. So.
All right, then.
That's what you will find in Astor.
Ribeyes, apparently.
Ribeye.
And Motor Court Hotel.
It is an unincorporated census-designated place. Those always fascinate me. And the elevation is 3 feet.
Wow.
3 feet.
So there.
Yep.
So William Jr. died of an aneurysm.
Oh, no, wait. We go from jolly to sadness.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh. Okay.
So he died of an aneurysm in 1892. And this is where the fun starts.
Oh.
Sort of. Actually, it started in 1890 when William Jr.'s older brother, John Jacob III, died. Actually, no, it was probably 1887 when John Jacob III's wife, Charlotte, died. So prior to her death, she was known as Mrs. Astor because she was married to the oldest brother and the de facto head of the Astor family. Now,
the oldest of the 7 brothers, or this is the next generation?
Yeah,
there were 7 siblings.
Yeah.
And then there was another generation. This is the next generation?
No, this is the original 7. Yeah.
Okay.
Caroline Astor was probably more popular. She certainly had established a name for herself in society by that point in time. But with her sister-in-law gone, she was essentially Mrs. Astor now. Prior to that time...
because now that her brother's wife has passed away, she is...
the next highest ranking female member of the Astor family.
Okay.
And prior to that, she was known as...
she's born, like, that's her birth name, she wasn't married into it, so...
No, she married into the Astors.
Oh, okay. She's not a sister. She married one of the
second
men.
brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So until that point, she had been known as Mrs. William Astor. And so she dropped the William out of that and just had Mrs. Astor on her calling card.
That's funny.
So
as one probably would.
I know, right? And
because why not?
I'm assuming she got away with this for a while until John Jacob III died in 1890, and his eldest son, Glory B, was named something different. He was William Waldorf Astor. I don't know where they got the Waldorf, but that kind of came out of left field.
Is that as in the Waldorf Astoria?
We're getting there, yes.
Well, if I hear that, I can't not say that.
Right. So his eldest son, William Waldorf Astor, ascended the throne, so to speak. And he was mightily displeased with his aunt for
taking the Mrs. Astor name.
Because he felt that his wife, Mary, should be the Mrs. Astor.
Why?
Because he was now head of the family.
Because he was the firstborn son of an Astor. Original Astor.
Correct.
So he's like, no, you can't because I'm
in town now.
I'm not sure about that. Right. She's still an elder, though. Like, she's still married. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way, too. She definitely had the elder states lady thing going on. And she disagreed quite virulently, in fact. After all, she was descended from a first family, and she certainly predated those upstart Astors, even though she deigned to marry one. Nevertheless, her nephew demanded that she go back to being Mrs. William Astor, and she refused. So apparently William Waldorf Astor was a strange dude. He was very discontented. They said he was just never really happy. He was just kind of an Eeyore, I guess.
So I guess you can't buy happiness.
Right, exactly. And so he was pretty hurt by his aunt's refusal. So he just picked his family up and they moved to England.
What?
I know. It's like, well, if my wife can't be the Mrs. Astor here, then I'll go to England and she can be the Mrs. Astor. It's very strange.
That is strange.
So they vacated their townhouse.
Wait, this is the Waldorf Astor?
Yep. Okay. Waldorf Astors. And they vacated their townhouse, which, remember, was right next to Caroline's on 5th Avenue. He had the building torn down, and he had intended to build a stable on the property, so she would be stuck next to a bunch of horses. Dung.
Nice.
But cooler heads prevailed, and instead he built a 13-story hotel, which he named the Waldorf.
Oh, okay.
And so Caroline...
Wait, what year is this?
This was 1891, I think.
Okay, because...
if it was completed in 1893.
Okay, so the Astor house then was still standing. It was not taken down until 1813.
Well, there are many, many Astor houses.
Well, the one you talked about.
Oh, Astor House Hotel.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So he built this new hotel, and Caroline lived through a year's worth of construction before she finally threw her hands up and said, I'm leaving. And so she moved further up 5th Avenue to the West 60s, and she and her son, JJ, commissioned a grand double mansion designed by my favorite architect of the period, Richard Morris Hunt.
Yeah, I thought that's what was coming.
And in response, to the cousin that caused his mother so much grief, J.J. Astor raised his parents' old house and built a 15-story hotel right next to the Waldorf, and he named it the Astoria.
Got it.
Now, William Wardolph, who, of course, was the source of the family drama, would remain in England